Did Kendrick Lamar really just take a very public swipe at Drake on the biggest stage of the year? Many fans think so. During the Super Bowl halftime show, amid bright lights and roaring cheers, Kendrick delivered a line that left jaws on the floor. Almost as soon as it happened, an entire stadium was on its feet, chanting something that nobody quite expected, MW. In the time it took for the final fireworks to fade, millions of viewers had already started speculating about what it all meant. Was Kendrick spotlighting Drake's rumored interest in much younger women, or was it some cleverly orchestrated performance art? At first it seemed impossible to tell, but that wasn't the only thing fueling curiosity. The deeper you look, the more you see that Drake and Kendrick's history is layered with subtle signs and cryptic messages that might finally have erupted in front of the world. The shocking Super Bowl moment. The Super Bowl halftime show is legendary for its jaw-dropping theatrics, unexpected collaborations, and viral-worthy moments that keep people talking for weeks. Every year, the biggest names in music take the stage, delivering performances that blend high-energy choreography, dazzling visuals, and star-studded surprises. Fans eagerly anticipate every detail, from the setlist to the stage design, from the costumes to the potential hidden messages embedded in the performance. Some halftime shows are remembered for their stunning visuals, others for their guest appearances, and some, like this year, for a single moment that sent shockwaves through the crowd and the internet. This year's show was already making headlines before it even began, with rumors swirling about potential surprise performers and unexpected setlist choices. But nothing could have prepared the audience for what was about to unfold. As Kendrick Lamar took center stage, commanding the spotlight with his signature intensity, the performance seemed to be progressing as expected, until one particular moment changed everything. Right in the middle of his set, Kendrick paused. The lights dimmed slightly, casting a dramatic shadow over his face. He flashed a cryptic smile, and then, in a deliberate, almost calculated tone, he delivered a single line that cut through the stadium's energy like a knife. At first, it seemed like just another moment in an already electric performance. The crowd was cheering, the music was pounding, and the cameras were capturing every detail. But within seconds, something unusual happened, something that nobody had predicted. A wave of confusion swept through the audience as a noticeable section of the stadium erupted into a chant. MW, MW. They shouted in unison, their voices growing louder and louder with each repetition. The energy shifted. People who had been vibing to the music just moments before were now exchanging bewildered glances, trying to piece together what they had just witnessed. The reaction was immediate. People at home scrambled for their remotes, frantically rewinding their TV sets to replay the moment. Some pulled out their phones, capturing screenshots and clips, determined to analyze every second for hidden meaning. Within minutes, social media exploded with theories. Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok flooded with posts dissecting Kendrick's expression, his vocal inflection, and even the specific timing of the chant. Conspiracy theories spread like wildfire. Some viewers were convinced that this was a direct shot at Drake, a cryptic jab woven into Kendrick's already intricate artistry. Others speculated that it was an inside reference known only to those deeply immersed in the rap world's ongoing feuds. Then came the deeper analysis. Fans and music critics alike began scrutinizing Kendrick's delivery, noting how his tone had suddenly shifted just before the chant erupted. Some believed this was the exact moment he made a veiled reference to Drake's alleged type, an insinuation that had been the subject of speculation for months. Others argued that it was all part of a larger, orchestrated performance designed to create buzz and fuel endless discussions. Theories ranged from Kendrick dropping subliminal disses to the possibility that this was all a brilliantly crafted viral marketing strategy. The halftime show, which typically ends with thunderous applause and a burst of confetti, instead concluded with an air of intrigue. As the final notes rang out, the stadium was still buzzing, not just from the energy of the performance, but from the lingering question: had Kendrick just fired the first shot in a new chapter of hip-hop rivalry? The conversation didn't end when the lights dimmed. If anything, it was just beginning. By the time the post-game analysis started, the moment had become the hottest topic of discussion. Sports analysts, music journalists, and pop culture commentators all weighed in, each offering their take on the meaning behind Kendrick's cryptic moment. Fans dissected every lyric, every movement, every reaction in an attempt to uncover the truth. Meanwhile, Drake's name started trending alongside Kendrick's, with many wondering if he would respond, or if this was just another case of fans reading too much into a performance. One thing was certain: this wasn't just another Super Bowl halftime show. It was a moment of cultural significance, a performance that blurred the lines between music, storytelling, and real-life drama. Whether Kendrick had intended to send a message or not, he had successfully captured the world's attention. And as the debates raged on, one question remained unanswered. Was this the beginning of something bigger? A history of subtle tension. Of course, anyone who's followed Drake and Kendrick Lamar over the years knows that these two haven't always been best friends. Their history is a fascinating mix of mutual respect, veiled jabs, and an underlying tension that has fueled years of speculation. Go back about a decade, and you'll find moments where they openly champion each other, acknowledging their respective talents and celebrating their contributions to hip-hop. At the time, it seemed like a friendship, or at least a strong professional camaraderie, was forming between two of the biggest forces in the industry. Drake, with his signature blend of melody and introspection, had already begun reshaping the sound of modern rap, making vulnerability and emotion a staple in mainstream hip-hop. His ability to switch seamlessly between rapping and singing gave him a universal appeal, and he quickly built an empire that extended beyond music into fashion, business, and entertainment. Kendrick, on the other hand, emerged as a powerful force in his own right, revered for his intricate lyricism, thought-provoking storytelling, and conceptual albums that felt more like cultural events than just music releases. His arrival was like a jolt of electricity to the genre, injecting it with raw social commentary and technical brilliance that made him an instant critical darling. At first, they seemed to exist in separate lanes, Drake, the pop-savvy superstar dominating the charts, and Kendrick, the cerebral rapper hailed for his depth and artistry. Yet despite their different styles, there was mutual admiration. They worked together, appeared on the same tracks, and even spoke highly of each other in interviews. Fans were excited by the possibility of more collaborations between them, imagining a future where two of hip-hop's biggest names would continue to push the genre forward together. But eagle-eyed fans started noticing subtle cracks in the relationship. It began with a few stray lines in Kendrick's verses that, while not explicitly naming names, sounded pointed enough to spark discussion. Some wondered if Kendrick was making sly references to Drake's dominance in mainstream music, questioning the substance beneath the commercial success. Then came the interviews, moments where Drake, whether intentionally or not, seemed to downplay Kendrick's influence. Perhaps it was nothing, just innocent remarks taken out of context. Or maybe, just maybe, there was something bubbling beneath the surface. Neither of them ever went as far as launching a full-fledged diss track against the other, so their dynamic remained a fascinating blend of subtle rivalry and professional respect. It wasn't the kind of beef that made headlines overnight. It was quieter, more calculated. Over the years, rumors circulated about unnamed jabs hidden in certain tracks, cryptic bars that seemed loaded with extra meaning, and offhand comments in interviews that sent fans into detective mode. Hip-hop heads dissected lyrics, searching for clues that could confirm their suspicions. Was Kendrick calling out Drake without actually saying his name? Was Drake throwing shade in a way only the most dedicated listeners would catch? One of the first major moments that made fans truly take notice was Kendrick's infamous Control verse in 2013. While the track wasn't a diss song, Kendrick's aggressive declaration of rap dominance sent shockwaves through the industry. He name-dropped nearly every relevant rapper at the time, positioning himself as the one to beat. Drake, though mentioned respectfully, was rumored to have taken the verse personally. His response in interviews suggested he wasn't amused, though he played it off as no big deal. As the years went on, the tension remained in the background, always simmering but never quite boiling over. Some saw it as a competitive rivalry, a natural result of two titans existing in the same space. Others believed there was genuine animosity brewing, masked behind industry politeness and carefully worded statements. Whatever the case, their relationship had undeniably changed. By the late 2010s, their music continued to evolve, but the tension between them became even more apparent. Drake remained a chart-topping giant, dropping hit after hit, solidifying his place as one of the most commercially successful artists in history. Kendrick, meanwhile, maintained his status as rap's most respected storyteller, crafting albums that were critically acclaimed and culturally impactful. Their successes were undeniable, yet the question loomed: would their paths inevitably collide? It was a clash that hip-hop fans had been anticipating for years. Some wanted an all-out lyrical battle, a no-holds-barred exchange that would go down in history. Others believed the rivalry was more of a Cold War, an unspoken contest of influence and artistry, where each artist subtly challenged the other through their music, rather than direct confrontation. Then came the Super Bowl moment, where a single cryptic second reignited all the old debates. Had Kendrick finally made his move? Was this the tipping point that would turn years of tension into an outright war? Fans, music critics, and industry insiders all weighed in, analyzing the moment from every angle. Some believed it was a carefully planned artistic statement. Others saw it as nothing more than a moment of raw energy, blown out of proportion by overanalyzing fans. One thing, however, was clear: the long-standing tension between Drake and Kendrick had never really disappeared. It had merely been waiting for the right moment to resurface. And whether this was the beginning of a full-fledged battle or just another chapter in their intricate history, one fact remained: hip-hop was watching, and the anticipation had never been higher. Rumors and the stadium-wide MW chant. So what's the deal with that mysterious MW chant? It erupted almost out of nowhere, taking over the stadium and spreading like wildfire across social media. At first, it seemed like just another spontaneous crowd moment, the kind that sometimes happens during massive live events. But as soon as the clip started circulating online, fans were quick to analyze it, and theories began emerging almost instantly. What did MW stand for? Why did it happen at that precise moment in Kendrick's performance? Was it connected to his alleged diss, or was this just a case of social media fueling speculation? One of the first and most widely accepted theories was that MW stood for minor warning. This immediately sparked controversy, as many believed it was a not-so-subtle jab at Drake and the ongoing rumors surrounding his alleged preference for dating significantly younger women. The idea gained traction when fans began digging into past accusations and resurfaced old interviews where Drake had been questioned about his relationships with younger celebrities. Some pointed to his widely discussed friendship with Millie Bobby Brown, who once mentioned in an interview that Drake gave her boy advice when she was just 14. Others recalled whispers about his rumored connections with barely legal models and up-and-coming artists. If Kendrick had truly used the biggest stage in the world to shine a spotlight on those allegations, it would go down as one of the most daring and provocative halftime moments in history. However, not everyone was convinced that the chant was meant as a direct attack on Drake. Another popular theory suggested that MW could reference an upcoming Kendrick track with the same initials, perhaps a song he had yet to release but had cleverly teased during the performance. Some fans pointed out that Kendrick is known for weaving deep messages and hidden meanings into his art, and this could simply be another example of his strategic storytelling. If that were the case, it would mean the entire internet had just worked itself into a frenzy over something that had nothing to do with Drake at all. A third, more lighthearted theory was that the chant had something to do with the visuals and themes of Kendrick's performance. Throughout his set, he incorporated symbolic imagery, cryptic backdrops, and stylistic choices that left plenty of room for interpretation. Some viewers speculated that MW might have been an inside reference known only to Kendrick's team or diehard fans. Could it have been a nod to an obscure lyric, an unreleased concept, or even just a coincidence that fans had blown out of proportion? Regardless of what the chant actually meant, the conversation around it only grew louder. Social media detectives worked overtime, combing through every frame of Kendrick's performance for clues. Some slowed down the footage, analyzing Kendrick's body language at the exact moment the chant started. Others compared it to previous live performances, looking for any signs that he had used the phrase before. Hip-hop forums and Reddit threads were flooded with debates, each theory gaining and losing traction by the hour. Adding to the confusion was the fact that neither Kendrick nor his team addressed the moment directly. There was no official statement, no explanation, no attempt to clear up the rumors. That left the internet completely divided. On one side, you had people who were absolutely convinced that the MW chant was a bold, calculated shot at Drake. To them, it was undeniable, another chapter in the ongoing tension between the two artists. On the other side, you had skeptics who dismissed the entire thing as a mass fan-fueled overreaction, a viral moment that Kendrick never intended to be taken seriously. What made this even more fascinating was the timing. Drake and Kendrick have long existed in an unspoken rivalry, their names often intertwined in discussions about hip-hop's greatest modern artists. The idea that Kendrick would use the Super Bowl, an event watched by millions, to throw shade at his biggest competitor? It was almost too perfect. Whether intentional or not, the moment had successfully reignited old debates and given fans plenty to dissect. As the post-Super Bowl analysis continued, one thing became clear: this chant wasn't going away anytime soon. Whether it was a direct jab, an unrelated moment, or a well-executed marketing ploy, it had cemented itself in pop culture history. If Kendrick did indeed mean to send a message, then he had just pulled off one of the most talked-about halftime moments in recent memory. And if he didn't, well, he had still managed to capture the world's attention without saying a single word about it. The online reaction erupts. Once the halftime show ended, the real fireworks started, not in the stadium, but online. Within minutes, social media platforms were flooded with theories, reactions, and heated debates. Twitter went ablaze as fans dissected every second of Kendrick's performance, from his body language to the stage design, convinced that he had meticulously hidden a coded message for Drake. Screenshots, slowed-down replays, and deep-dive analysis videos started circulating at lightning speed, each attempting to crack the mystery behind the moment. Hashtags about the possible diss began trending worldwide. Hashtag Kendrick is Drake, hashtag MW Mystery, and hashtag Super Bowl diss were among the top discussions on Twitter and TikTok, as users argued over whether Kendrick had just declared an all-out lyrical war. YouTube was soon flooded with reaction videos, some from hip-hop analysts breaking down Kendrick's supposed message, others from casual viewers simply stunned by the unexpected stadium-wide chant. Some fans were adamant that Kendrick had planned the moment with precision, while others believed it was a coincidence that spiraled out of control thanks to online speculation. Critics and industry insiders also jumped into the fray. Some pointed out that Kendrick has always been deliberate with his performances, often layering multiple meanings into his lyrics, visuals, and gestures. Could he have switched up a verse specifically to take a subtle jab at Drake? Or was he referencing an older lyric from his catalog that fans had suddenly given new meaning? Those who attended the show in person had their own interpretations. Some claimed the energy in the stadium shifted dramatically the moment Kendrick uttered the alleged lyric, making it feel like a direct shot at Drake. Others argued that it was all being overblown by online hype, just another case of fans reading too much into an otherwise standard set. But the more heated the online debates grew, the more unstoppable the speculation became. The conversation wasn't just about Drake and Kendrick anymore. It had expanded into something bigger. It was about the nature of hip-hop rivalries, about the way fans crave competition, and about how the internet amplifies every small moment into something legendary. Did people want this to be a diss so badly that they collectively invented one? Or was Kendrick orchestrating a next-level piece of performance art, hooking millions of viewers into an unsolved musical puzzle? Music journalists published think pieces overnight, exploring the implications of the performance. Was this the hip-hop version of a cinematic Easter egg, a breadcrumb trail left for fans to decipher? Or had Kendrick truly fired the first real shot in a long-anticipated rap battle? Even celebrities got in on the action, with rappers, producers, and pop culture commentators dropping their own theories on what had just unfolded. By the next morning, the mystery surrounding Kendrick's Super Bowl moment had taken on a life of its own. Whether intentional or not, the ambiguity was working in his favor because the entire world was still talking about it. And in hip-hop, few things are more powerful than that. Drake's delayed response. For days after the halftime show, the big question was, how would Drake respond? Historically, he's been known to address controversies in verses on new tracks, or through cryptic social media posts that his followers decode for hidden barbs. But this time, he maintained radio silence. No tweet, no cryptic lyric snippet, nothing. That quiet only inflamed the rumor mill further. People claimed he was too stunned to respond, or that he was quietly plotting a scorching retort in the studio. When Drake finally broke his silence, it wasn't in a diss track or a press conference. It came during a low-key social media live session. Fans bombarded him with questions, and eventually someone asked if he'd caught Kendrick's rumored reference. Drake didn't dodge it. He paused, let out a faint laugh, and acknowledged that he'd heard the talk. Then, in a measured tone, he spoke about how competition is hardwired into hip-hop, and how fans sometimes read too much into single lines or fleeting gestures. He didn't categorically deny that Kendrick might have been targeting him, but he also said he wasn't convinced anything was aimed straight at him. Still, one could sense a hint of irritation. He didn't like that the halftime conversation had less to do with music and more to do with a potential feud. That response, relaxed, somewhat diplomatic, offered no real closure. If Kendrick had dissed him, Drake wasn't going to spark an all-out lyrical war over it. Yet he left the door open, subtly hinting that if Kendrick ever wanted a conversation, he'd be up for something more direct. It was a moment that revealed Drake's evolution. In his earlier days, a jab like this might have provoked a swift lyrical clapback. Now he seemed content to maintain his cool and let the rumor feed on itself. Deeper controversies and public perceptions. Both Drake and Kendrick Lamar have long been at the center of debates in hip-hop, and neither is a stranger to controversy. Their careers, though wildly successful, have often been accompanied by intense scrutiny. Drake, with his unique blend of rap and melody, has dominated the charts for over a decade, but his success has also sparked criticism. Some purists argue that he has softened rap, prioritizing catchy hooks and mainstream appeal over the gritty, lyrical storytelling that the genre was built on. Others believe his versatility is exactly what has allowed him to redefine modern hip-hop, But beyond the music, his personal life has been a frequent source of speculation and criticism, from rumored relationships with significantly younger women to publicized breakups and accusations of inauthenticity. Drake has faced plenty of challenges in the court of public opinion. His high-profile feuds, particularly his infamous clash with Pusha T, only added fuel to the fire. The revelation about his hidden son, which Pusha exposed in a diss track, was one of the biggest moments in recent rap history. It painted Drake as someone who carefully curates his image, but occasionally loses control of the narrative. So if Kendrick did in fact use the Super Bowl stage to throw a subliminal shot at Drake, it would touch on an already sensitive topic, one that has been lingering beneath the surface for years. On the other hand, Kendrick Lamar's career has been defined by his deep lyricism, social commentary, and carefully crafted projects. He is widely seen as a visionary, an artist who doesn't just make music, but creates cultural moments. However, that level of influence comes with its own set of controversies. His lyrics have sparked debates about race, politics, and morality. His willingness to call out unnamed rivals in his music has often led to speculation about who he's targeting. And while his messages are usually layered and open to interpretation, they never fail to get people talking. So when these two juggernauts collide, one a commercial giant, the other a lyrical mastermind, their fan bases inevitably clash as well. Team Drake is quick to highlight his ability to churn out hit after hit, arguing that he has kept rap at the forefront of global music. His supporters admire his adaptability, his business acumen, and his ability to remain relevant in an ever-changing industry. Meanwhile, Team Kendrick points to his unmatched lyricism, his ability to craft albums that feel like cinematic masterpieces, and his refusal to compromise his artistic integrity. They see him as a pure artist, one who prioritizes storytelling and deeper meaning over commercial appeal. If there is even a shred of truth to the claim that Kendrick used the Super Bowl, the biggest stage in American entertainment, to question Drake's conduct, it transforms this moment from a simple fan theory into something much bigger. It's no longer just about halftime performance. It becomes a symbolic clash of values, styles, and public perceptions. And in a culture where rap beefs have shaped the genre's history, this could be the spark that sets off something much bigger than anyone anticipated. Possible motives behind Kendrick's move. If Kendrick Lamar truly took aim at Drake during the Super Bowl halftime show, the big question is, why? Why use one of the most watched events in the world to throw a cryptic jab? Some argue that it's the perfect stage for a grand statement. Tens of millions of viewers, an audience spanning far beyond just hip-hop fans, and a cultural moment that's instantly immortalized in social media clips and news articles. Any controversy that emerges from the Super Bowl is magnified tenfold, making it the ideal setting for an artist to send a message that will be impossible to ignore. Kendrick has always been deliberate with his artistry, often using his platform to spark deeper conversations. So could this have been more than just a shot at Drake? Some believe Kendrick seized the moment to provoke discussions not just about Drake's personal life, but about the larger state of rap culture itself. The industry has long been plagued by debates over authenticity, artistic integrity, and the blurred lines between personal conduct and public persona. By allegedly dropping a subtle yet powerful diss on such a massive stage, Kendrick may have been doing more than engaging in a rivalry. He might have been forcing the audience to confront uncomfortable questions about the people they idolize. This wouldn't be the first time a high-profile artist used a major performance to make a broader statement. The Super Bowl halftime show has historically been a platform for artists to push cultural narratives, from Beyoncé's politically charged Formation performance to The Weeknd's eerie, dystopian stage production. Kendrick himself has a track record of embedding layered messages into his music and public appearances, ensuring that his work sparks ongoing debates. Whether it's his Pulitzer Prize-winning album Damn, or his theatrical music videos that dissect race, power, and identity, Kendrick knows how to turn art into conversation. However, not everyone is convinced that Kendrick was targeting Drake at all. Some suggest that the entire spectacle was simply the internet doing what it does best, taking a tiny moment, blowing it out of proportion, and spinning it into an elaborate theory. The modern hip-hop era thrives on speculation, where every lyric, every gesture, and every ad-lib can be interpreted in 100 different ways. A casual pause, a cryptic smirk, or a change in vocal tone can send fans down endless rabbit holes, convinced that they've uncovered a hidden message. But that's precisely what makes this moment so fascinating. Whether intentional or not, Kendrick's halftime show sparked a wildfire of speculation. And if there's one artist who understands the power of mystery, it's Kendrick Lamar. He doesn't need to confirm or deny anything. He simply lets the world talk, letting the theories and discussions fuel his legacy. At the end of the day, the biggest question remains: was this just another internet-fueled illusion, or was Kendrick playing a deeper game, one that we've only just begun to decipher? What happens next? Despite the heated discussions, no explicit feud has emerged. Kendrick has remained, in typical fashion, eerily silent about the rumors. Drake gave his calm, almost dismissive perspective, and then carried on posting about his new music, philanthropic ventures, and brand expansions. But if history tells us anything, it's that neither artist forgets. Both had used subtle references in their songs, slowly building narrative arcs that fans decipher over time. Now everyone's eyeing their future releases. Will Drake drop a sly line on his next album that edges closer to confirming a hidden rivalry? Will Kendrick take another shot, so cleverly tucked away that only the most dedicated fans pick up on it? Or will the entire episode fade, overshadowed by the next wave of controversies in hip-hop? At this point, anything is possible, and that uncertainty keeps fans glued to every interview, every festival set, and every cryptic Instagram post. Conclusion: in the end, whether Kendrick's Super Bowl performance was an explicit diss or simply a misunderstood moment is almost beside the point. The sheer power of rumor and the frenzy of fan speculation reveal a lot about the culture of modern hip-hop. We love the intrigue, the possibility that two industry juggernauts might be standing toe-to-toe, each waiting for the other to make a move. Drake's calm response, cool-headed and unbothered, speaks volumes about where he stands at this stage in his career. He doesn't need a high-profile rap battle to prove anything. Meanwhile, Kendrick's silence makes the rumors only grow, maintaining his air of mystery and reinforcing the idea that his art is far more potent when left open to interpretation. For fans, these stories are the fuel that keeps rap's competitive spirit alive. We might never get a definitive answer about the MW chant or the possible line that ignited so much debate, but that lingering what if is exactly what draws us in. It reminds us that behind the sold-out arenas and staggering streaming stats, hip-hop is still about pushing boundaries, musical and cultural. Whether or not this Super Bowl moment was a direct shot, the conversation it sparked proves that the smallest spark can ignite a massive blaze in a genre that thrives on both camaraderie and competition. And as long as Drake and Kendrick continue to dominate the charts, the possibilities for new drama, new mysteries, and new revelations remain endless.